Well, this banking crisis that started out as a couple of small banks is really picking up some steam, and this is going to end in probably a far greater crisis than we had in 2008. The officials are reassuring everybody that everything is all right, but at the same time, the truth is starting to come out about how the banking system is just a Ponzi scheme. And the more people that find out about this, the banks require our trust and belief in them for them to work. If people start to not really trust them and not really believe in them, then the whole thing falls apart. If you go to ggsr21.com and read chapter 4, it's free. Just go there and read it. Click on online chapters and go to chapter 4. There's accompanying videos in there as well. And take a look at that, read it. You will understand how the modern banking is just basically a giant lie and that they have monetized you. But I would like you to watch a little bit of this clip here from Senator John Kennedy actually saying on mainstream media that the U.S. banking system is a Ponzi scheme. Here's the clip.
And banks exist on the basis of trust. They're really just, don't take this the wrong way, sophisticated Ponzi schemes. And they work when everybody trusts each other. And you get on that iPhone and start sending text messages, and you have the herd panic and stampede. Anybody can go.
The speed of transmission is completely
absolutely. It's breathtaking.
Senator Kennedy, thank you for being with us. Thank you for your candor.
So the Ponzi scheme that is the banks is now making the mainstream media. So the general public, not the people that are ahead of the general public like you, people that view these types of videos, but this is the general public. The couch potato people are now starting to find out about this. That can lead to a sudden, very quick shift in the way things play out. Now, here is Hugh Hendry. Watch what this guy says.
We just ended on the banks. What do you make of the regional banks right now? Like, how bad is it going to get?
Real bad.
What does real bad look like? We've already taken out 4 banks already.
Okay, let me tell you what real bad looks like, okay? The panacea of the Treasury announcing that all deposits are federally insured doesn't solve this problem. There is capital flight, deposit flight from the banking sector, okay, seeking yield, okay? I fear that just, and I don't say this lightly, but in 1934, the Federal Reserve Act confiscated gold from US citizens. We're at the point where the Fed and the Treasury officials, I'm sure, are having to consider a gate, a lock on US bank deposits.
So what he's talking about here is the banks restricting withdrawals so that you don't have access to your currency. This has happened many times before throughout history, but in there he made a little mistake. He said that the Federal Reserve Act confiscated gold from the American people, and that it's easy to make these kind of mistakes when you've got a lot of pressure on you. He's on a newscast. He's got to think, and the stuff that comes out of his mouth has to match his thoughts, and he's got to do this very quickly. And it's a very hard thing to do. I know that for myself, a lot of times when I'm under pressure, sometimes I'm thinking one thing and something slightly different comes out of my mouth, and I don't even catch it. But it wasn't the Federal Reserve Act. They were a series of executive orders. And that brings me to a little bit of my book, The Great Gold and Silver Rush of the 21st Century. This is from chapter 1. In late 1931, Great Britain defaulted on its fractional reserve gold standard and refused to honor gold redemption rights. This made people nervous about the US dollar. They were losing faith in the currency, and with each consecutive bank run, they were increasingly demanding gold. The Federal Reserve Bank was required to maintain a 40% gold reserve to back its notes, but on March 1st, 1933, it fell below the legal limit. George Harrison, no, not that George Harrison, the head of the New York Fed, sent an urgent message to the Secretary of the Treasury saying he would no longer take responsibility for running the New York Reserve Bank with deficient funds. On Monday, March 6, 1933, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed Executive Order 2039, immediately suspending all bank transactions. The proclamation also contained these words: "No such banking institution or branch shall pay out, export, earmark, or permit the withdrawal or transfer in any manner or by any device whatsoever of any gold or silver coin or bullion or currency, or take any other action which might facilitate the hoarding thereof." The financial system came to a complete halt. All commercial banks and even the Federal Reserve remained closed for an entire week, and Americans had no access to their savings. They called it a bank holiday. It's a holiday. The Treasury considered issuing large amounts of government scrip, which is IOUs, as an emergency substitute for cash. They even printed $10 million worth. But Treasury Secretary William Wooden decided against it. "Where would we be," Wooden said, "if we had IOUs, scrip, and certificates floating all around the country?" Instead, he decided to issue currency against the assets of the banks. The Federal Reserve Act lets us print all we'll need, and it won't frighten the people. It won't look like stage money. It'll be money that looks like real money. Now, these are notated, and in the book, this goes back, there are 3 notations in this little section of this chapter. So wherever you see this in quotes, this actually comes from an article on the Boston Federal Reserve's website. So this is highly accurate. Anyway, the banks reopened, but on April 5th, Roosevelt signed Executive Order 6102 outlawing Americans' right to private ownership of gold and forbidding the hoarding of gold coin, bullion, and gold certificates within the continental United States. I always found the use of language entertaining. According to the banks and the government, if you hoard their currency, you're a prudent saver. But if you save gold, you're a nasty hoarder. Again, the paper currency was nothing but an IOU, a claim check on real money, payable to the bearer on demand. The paper currency was not and is not money. It was only a promise that was broken. But one thing this story proves is that it's surprisingly easy to pull the wool over the public's eyes. All you have to do is take a piece of paper, print a bunch of fancy scrolls and intricate curlicues on it, and then make it look really official by adding a picture of a very well-respected dead guy. Do that, and you'll get anyone to swallow anything hook, line, and sinker. So that is what happened in 1933. The Federal Reserve Act did not confiscate gold from the American people. It was Roosevelt outlawing private ownership of gold, and they nationalized it. They didn't confiscate it. I want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, but this is by no means the whole story. If you want the full story, including my free online-only chapters and companion videos, there's a wealth of information at ggsr21.com. Thanks.